talk just for a minute about what the actual journey was, because if anyone knows, I've written some blog posts about journey. I know 6th Division has done some speaking about journey, so you may be familiar with this journey concept. But for ALU, the journey started with, I think, primarily 2 channels, and I'll let you weigh in. But we had Facebook traffic, so paid advertisements to different Facebook audiences that we felt might be a good fit for our product, which happened to have been an MBA program. So that's one channel, and then the other was our network of strategic partners, which included the African Leadership Academy and other various influencers who had access to large groups of people that may be interested in what we had to offer. And then from those channels, they interacted by requesting information or by attending an event. The event had its own journey and involved showing up to an in-person event. We did the road show in 6 different cities around Africa. And the goal from that was to encourage people to begin their application process. And sometimes at some point, at some juncture in there, they may or may not have met with a sales rep, an admissions rep, who helped offer counsel and advice as they proceeded through the application process, which was 9 stages on its own. And ultimately what we wanted was people to complete their application, and if we issued an enrollment decision, accept that and then show up on the campus as a student. But as with any journey, there's infinite number of opportunities for it to fall down or for people to slip between the cracks. The most relatable part of this for small businesses is that humans won't always do the things that we think are in their best interest. And so the ways...
Or that they say is in their best interest.
Right.
Right.
And so the ways that we, seal the cracks, so to speak, is through technology and systems and automation.
I see it through a playbook, and figuring out what are the interchangeable parts, what are the different plays we can run to move people from one phase of that journey. And I mean, a buyer's journey, a client journey, a customer journey, an acquisition journey, we can have whatever synonyms we want, but it starts with awareness. And then you've got to have engagement, right? And then you've got to have decision and conversion and some version and variations of those things. The playbook was paid social traffic, a strategic partnership and network, which essentially was a list, using other people's lists to invite them to our events, and then the GMAT database. Those were our 3 channels. The plays we had people opt in for were ultimately as simple as learn more about this Pan-African MBA program that's going to change the continent, that's going to change the globe, and come to one of our events. And our events were either live events in the city, right, this MBA for a Night 6-city roadshow that we did, which was a big key play, or virtual events, right, webinars with thought leaders on topics that our target market would care about. And then the call to action was advocate and spread the word, and if this feels like you, then start your application. That was it. That's the journey. And then the nuances of moving people from a started application to a completed application. Once they were it was accepted or admitted, that then they would actually accept that admittance and then actually show up and become enrolled. And there's a payment process. So there's lots of steps even after someone was accepted that you want to maximize conversions, and we were designing that entire journey.
And I think to zoom out a little bit and help everyone else connect with this, it's not about an MBA program, and it's not about the continent of Africa, right? The lessons that we learned in doing this are universal and can be applied to your business, to my business, and I believe to every business. It's about journey. And if your clients just show up and spend money with you, that's great, but something happened before they did that. And something happened after they did that. And the composition of those 3 things is what forms their customer journey. So the only question is really how much of that experience is intentional, how much of that is something that you've designed, and how much of that is something that just has happened. And so the nature of this project is how to be more deliberate, how to be more intentional about creating that so that there is consistency, so that there's predictability, and so that it is a uniform experience that facilitates positive results for every party, both the business owner and ultimately the people experiencing it.
There are a few irrefutable truths about business that I believe are actually irrefutable. The first is that your ability and your inability to produce revenue is directly and solely correlated to the experience that your leads, prospects, and customers are having. Okay, revenue equals experience. That's irrefutable truth number one. And more specifically, their experience equals your revenue.
Right.
Period. Accept that, and now we can accelerate everything. Two, that experience, it is happening with or without your permission, consent, or design.
Yeah.
It's
it's already there. It's already going
Right.
on. Yeah.
So the ability to create predictability in your business, in revenue and growth and so forth, can only come from predictable experiences, right? And experience comes down to really only two things. There's only two levers we can pull when it comes to influence and experience that's going to influence our revenue, right? And it's the marriage of message and mechanics. The message is what people are seeing, reading, hearing, and so forth. It is your messaging, your narrative, and that comes in copy, videos, all sorts of media. And then the mechanics, the actual steps that people are going through in a digital or a live experience, right? How long a load time on a page is, to how long they have to wait in line for a coffee, to how they're greeted at an event, right? And everything else, if broken links or any of those, that's all part of their experience. So message and mechanics. So if I want to enhance the experience people are having, then those are the levers that I have. Now, the overlap, the marriage of message and mechanics creates emotion. And emotion is what creates behavior. And the final irrefutable truth is that we are in the business of producing behaviors that produce business. And the levers that we have to do that are message and mechanics. And the more that we can create a systematic experience with those two ingredients, the more we can create systematic, predictable behaviors to drive our business growth and our revenue.
Let me put a bow on it, right? So to work that backwards, if you describe, or if anyone describes revenue as their goal, revenue is a byproduct of behavior, buying behavior, and buying behavior or any behavior is a byproduct of emotion, and emotion is essentially driven by the message that you deliver, which is facilitated through the mechanics or the technology and tools that we've used to create that.
There you go.
Do it!